Embrace the Power and Coastal Connection Production presents Jessie Lynn, America's Singing Cowgirl.
Whoa, welcome to the show, Jessie Lynn. What's going on? Woo!
Thank you so much. Good morning. And let me tell you, everything and anything. First of all, it's a beautiful day outside. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And it's just great to be on. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a great honor and pleasure to be on the show today.
I appreciate it. And before we get started, sorry, Mike.
No, it's nice to have you on. No, I'm just joining the conversation.
Got to get all the gel going on.
Yes, sir. Got to get it all going on with me and Mike G down here in Tampa. Hey, before we get started, we want to thank FM Platforms for making the SCAR. We appreciate you guys' support on a regular basis. Also a shout out to my Smoothie King team, Gianna and Jay, for making my smoothie yesterday. You thought I wouldn't give you a shout out today? Booyah in my third period class. I want to just give you guys a shout out too. So as we get started, Jess, I got a question. Where are you at and what's the weather like?
So currently back home in Alabama, and the weather is a nice 60-something degrees outside, beautiful sunshiny day, tons of pollen in the air. So there's a nice, dusting of yellow going through. Pollenocalypse. We are definitely having our fair share of allergies, but I'm back home in Bama for 2 days, and then I'm back on the road to Georgia, headed over for a rodeo.
Wow. Hey, let me ask you a question. What part of Bama are you? Because I actually went to the Air War College in Montgomery.
So I'm from Prattville, which is just 10 miles north of
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because I actually coached the soccer team at Lee High School there for when I was up there. Yeah, no Prattville. What you mean? The University of Prattville High School.
I will say I was the private school brat, so I actually did not go to Prattville High. I actually was zoned for Otagoville because we live out in more of the farming community, and the farming district have a lot of acreage, of course, for our horses. And so I was a proud student of Otago Academy for 14 years.
Got you. So, hey, you got everybody. You always got me confused because I know you're a singer. And then you also do rodeo, and you are Miss Rodeo 2020. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, actually the end of this month will mark 70 days that I have been Miss Rodeo USA 2022, and actually just was able to get back from Fort Worth, Texas, from market, meeting some of our sponsors, visiting our exclusive hat sponsor, American Hat Company, Lane Boots. And so it's nice to be home for a couple of days to kind of reorganize and regroup. But right now, currently, just on my Miss Rodeo USA schedule, I've only got 2 weekends open throughout the year. So it's been a fabulous journey.
Wow.
And means we have to take a little bit of time off from the touring sector, but it's been an amazing journey so far, and it's been a blessing. That's all that I can say.
All right, so let me ask you a question. How did you end up getting selected for Miss Rodeo? Because that's not like the Miss America pageant or the Miss Universe pageant. So, and I've seen you ride a horse. So is that part of the curriculum?
Yeah, so in January, the Miss Rodeo USA pageant is held in conjunction with the IFR, which stands for the International Finals Rodeo, in Guthrie, Oklahoma. It's now housed at the Lazy E Arena and sanctioned through the International Professional Rodeo Association. So we actually do a week-long pageant. Now, I'm sure what most folks are thinking pageant-wise, you're thinking, oh, you got to look pretty and sophisticated. That's only like 2% of the equation. For our week-long pageant, we go through written tests, 16 interview portions, 2 speeches, 2 horsemanship patterns on horses that we have never ridden. Our exclusive horse sponsor, 5-Star Quarter Horses, is gracious enough to bring horses and provide horses for the contestants to compete on.
Wow.
Draw for each pattern. We are only given 1 pattern prior to pageant, and then the other one 10 minutes before we go ride it.
That's a lot of rules.
Fashion shows with clothes that they bring in, we have no idea what the clothes are. We just have to be able to take it, accessorize it, walk it, work it, and be able to speak on behalf of that sponsor in particular, because usually they have some questions that they have specifically selected, and it's just random questions that they have felt would be great for the impromptu portion. So at the end of the week, they crown the new Miss Rodeo USA during the 4th performance of the IFR, and she will then make her first appearance later that night at the Gold Buckle Dinner and officially take her new role there. So from January to January, this girl drives and flies all over the United States and Canada, and we'll travel over 100,000 miles in any given year. And so there's a lot of work to it, and she's the official ambassador for the IPRA and the Miss Rodeo USA Association.
That was a lot. That was a lot of information. I should have brought a pen. I was like, what the hell?
Thanks.
So is this ain't the type of rodeo with the bulls? It's just horses and.
Well, no, it is. So for the IPRA, we have all 7 standard events, actually 8, and so I mean you have the bull riding, saddle bronc, bareback, steer wrestling, team roping, tie down roping, barrel racing. And everything in between. So we travel all over. Like this next week, I will be headed over to Sandersville, Georgia for a rodeo. Now, keep in mind, the rodeo is Friday and Saturday, but I work Tuesday through Sunday for that rodeo because we do television hits, radio, schools, reading, just all different types of promotional and marketing material during that week to help out our stock contractor and the rodeo committee. So we have really, in essence, a full-time job of before, during, and after the performance. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you go to school, so you got all right, because I went to Georgia Southern, so so it's near and dear to my heart. You go to Georgia. Hey, so when you get to Georgia, are you guys visiting high schools or colleges? So I mean, what's your speaking circuit kind of like, and and the people that you're impacting? I realize you're doing a lot of talking, but what kind of messages are you giving out to the younger people that as you're going through this process?
Absolutely. So during the Miss Rodeo USA competition and during our application process, we do actually have to submit our platform. If we were selected as Miss Rodeo USA, what would your platform be for the year? And so my platform, tying in some to my Native American heritage, is Be a Dream Catcher. Now, last year is the first year. May of 2022 will mark a full year that my podcast, Be a Dream Catcher, has been live. So I've basically expanded on that and have configured it into a way where you can talk on that matter. Because here's the thing, I found out students in the 9th and 10th grade, and even younger than that,
right,
really knew what they wanted to do. They have these dreams. They have these big goals and these big dreams that they want to do something. And actually, there's the Be a Dream Catcher stream right there as we're scrolling through on the website. You can listen to it live on my website. It's also on Spotify and iTunes if want to jump over there. But I found out that a lot of these students and even adults started giving up on their dreams because of what someone's thought, said, did. And they're just like, oh, well, it's not attainable. Well, it actually is. Your dreams can be as close as taking the next step, but that's the thing. You have to take that next step and take it in faith and trust that the Lord has the best plan and option for you. And so we do a lot of the motivational speaking on that behalf and really just encouraging people, look, if you have a dream, go for it. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter if it was 20 years ago and, oh, that ship sailed. No. As I like to say, one of my guests used this the other day, God can always recycle dreams and turn it into
I love that, because we use Aspire to Inspire, and here and what blows my mind is the amount of people that stop living because of someone else. I mean, and they go, oh, I was gonna be this. The one I hate is when I go to a local bar where all the guys played high school football, right? And there's this guy that went to college and been the guy, and he goes, well, I gave up because somebody told me I wouldn't be good enough in college, and then they're sitting there soaking at the bar, looking at the game, going, I played against that guy. And I used to beat that guy. You know, I'm so glad that you're putting that out there, Jess.
Well, you have to, and you know, especially in today's world, it's the amount of suicide that happens in young adults, even young teenagers, and then even preteens is actually very shocking and staggering. And it's all because these kids and the students and these young adults, they don't understand that there is a way to do something. I know I mentioned earlier off air trying to, you know, Jimmy rig my tripod here. Where there's a will, there's a way. You know, I mean, maybe a really lame analogy, but something as simple just trying to get the tripod situated because I haven't been home. So I haven't had time to set up my video studio the way that I normally like to do it. And, you know, there's normally a nice big back screen and you've got all the cool, you got a little bit of the cotton, but, you know, there's a whole, you know, setup. And so we're just kind of minimizing today, but sometimes that's okay. And, you know, it's so funny though, because some people, when they start going for their dreams, are thinking, oh, it's all or nothing. Well, kind of. In the end, it is all or nothing because you are sacrificing your time, your finances, your, you know, your skills, your abilities. But if you just try to put everything out there at one point and expect an immediate return, it's not going to happen. It's a process. And you've got to take it step by step. So kind of in that regard, I'm taking this step by step. You're just getting a nice little, you know, you're getting a little feel, a comfortable piece.
Well, yeah, but you know, you talked about it's a steady pace, and it's funny you say that because so many people don't realize that you got it is a gradual rise. And social media, I think, has become one of the, for entertainers, and with you being in the platform you are now as Miss Rodeo, you're going to have a lot of perspective to be able to touch this. But social media has kind of driven where they fabricated that people are like, oh, she was on social media yesterday, now she's a millionaire. And it's sad is that you really don't know the background of people. And I see like you're a rodeo star, now you're Miss Rodeo. You sing, you have a very diverse background. And that makes a difference. And I think a lot of young people, they don't understand that you have to be a jack of all trades sometimes.
Yes.
To find your skill. But here's the other question. So since you do have horses, do you still have to go do the work in the stalls?
Actually, yes. So I am fortunate enough that when I'm on the road, I own the 10 acres right next to my parents, and all of our property joins together. So all of that is fenced.
Good.
So my parents can feed the horses while we're gone and all of that. But when I come back, guess what? The hard work's still got to be done. I've actually got to take one of my mares down tomorrow to the Op Rattlesnake Rodeo. Well, guess what? It's shedding season. You know, it's turning into spring. She's starting to shed that winter coat. She's got a mohawk going on between the she's got to be clipped. She's got to be bathed. And it's just, I've got to do all of that today because I've got a duty to uphold tomorrow. And it doesn't stop. I know a lot of people think, well, how have you done all this? You know, you've gotten to do this, and this. And I almost kind of wonder and in my mind say, what do you mean, how have I done all this? I've just done it. It's
absolutely,
it's just one of those things of I saw and recognized the dream early. And again, y'all will hear me talk about the Lord's plan a lot in my discussions. And I have big dreams. The greatest thing about that, though, is the Lord has even bigger plans and dreams. So it's sometimes, depending on how big your dreams are, can be a little scary because you're kind of like, oh, dear. I have some big dreams. And if your plans are bigger than what I'm thinking, you just know it's automatically going to be amazing. And so sometimes surrendering that process of it and just continuing to do the hard work, it pays off in the end. But like I said, you're not going to see it like instantly. It's going to be that gradual step. And here's the thing, my journey may look extremely different from somebody else in the journey.
Oh, absolutely.
There's never two that are exactly alike. So I also talk about this a lot of not comparing yourself to others. It's great to compare and contrast. Okay, what has this person done versus what have I done?
Right.
And how can you better yourself? But in social media, and I think you guys can probably attest to this as well. Yes, I use it as a platform, but I don't like it. I really don't.
I think I think any of us like it, but we realize that it's the only way we're getting our message out to kind of balance, and not to cut you up, because you got a strong platform now, and your influence than the younger generation it's their tool of choice.
Right. And so in the personal sense, it creates a false security and in essence, a false image. For a lot of people. Now, one thing that I'll tell you, what you see is what you get with me. What you see on social media is what you meet me in person. There may be a day you catch me in Walmart and I don't have all my makeup on and I've got comfortable clothes because, quite frankly, I'm shopping in the store. So,
like, oh shit, you gotta show everybody your shirt because that just relates to what you're saying.
Like, look, like I'm gonna be. It's look, peace, love. Don't judge me. It is look. We're human. I'm not always going to have hair done, big as Dallas, and it's not. But what's great about it is where there are some negatives, there's also room for the positives.
Right.
And so what I try to do through our platforms and through social is just what you mentioned. You try to get the positive message out there because, quite frankly, it's been turned into something that it promotes negativity versus what it was originally created for, which was to keep people connected, to keep them together. And if you moved off, great. Hey, we can stay connected. I'll let you know when I'm in town. But it's unfortunately, like most things, the power gets abused and it just kind of turns into not what it was created for.
No. You hit like, my goodness, you've hit like a massive load of talking points about social media and entertainment. And like, and everybody looks at me as being a retired general and they're like, oh man, why would you go do a podcast? Blah, blah, blah. You know what? I wanted to do something positive because I got tired of looking at podcasts that were negative. So I said, you know what? I'm going to have some fun podcasts. Yeah. But just get out and do something. But the thing is the impact that we want to leave in the world, and it comes down to your legacy. So as you're shaping all of this, right? Yeah. I'm sure you've thought about this 100 times. What legacy are you actually, for Jessie Lynn, what are you actually trying to leave behind when they say your eulogy? That day they tap down there in Alabama and they say, we got to talk about Jessie Lynn and let's talk about her and what kind of woman she was. What kind of legacy are you trying to leave?
The legacy that I'm trying to leave is first of all, I'm a human being. That's first and foremost. I'm not going to do everything perfect. Nobody is. But by the same token, I want people to say she tried. And it's something of the effect. I've always made this analogy. If I can be half of the person and entertainer that Dolly Parton is.
Whoa.
I want to walk away and I'm going to get real spiritual here for a minute. So, folks, bear with me.
Hey, preach it, girl, preach it.
Bandwagon. I know what I want at the end of my time is I want to walk through the streets and through the gates of heaven and hear God say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And I want so many jewels in my crown that I've got to have several.
I like that.
I want to be able to know that I have left an impression on folks here back on earth, that they know I was a person that could speak to anybody of any race, of any stature, whether they're a multi-billionaire or it's the homeless person on the street that's begging for spare change. I want people to be able to see that we've invested in that person, in that soul, and in their life. Now, granted, I can't do that for everybody, but those that I come in contact with, I want that to be a life changer for them. And I just want it to be something of where it inspires somebody to maybe be kind. My biggest policy is treat others the way you'd want to be treated. And kind of the golden rule there.
Absolutely.
But also, again, there's no fake about me. Again, it's that what you see is what you get, and you're either going to like it, you're either not going to like it, or you're just going to be somewhere in between, and that's okay. But I just want people to see that, you know, you've invested in someone else's life and it made a difference. You just never know what it could do.
Oh yeah, you're spot on. You don't know what impact you're going to leave on somebody. You know, I will tell you a quick story because I was in the military, and this lady stopped me one day when I was in uniform before I retired, and this is how the impact, you don't realize how strangers, and you're making it a very valid point. She walked up to me, she hugged me, and she goes, "I want to thank you." And I like, "Why?" She goes, "I had never seen an African American that was a general in my whole life. My husband was in, and you're the first I've ever met." And she just started crying, and it was just the power of me understanding the position I was in and how important it was, regardless of that, you know, I'm in the 21st century,
Right.
the impact that when she came up, it wasn't available. So, you know, every time you're crossing one and you talk about the homeless person, I can't tell you enough the amount of people I hear, I give money to somebody at the quarter and they go, "That person ain't homeless, they probably driving a Porsche." I said, you know what? All God's children, my attitude, if they're corrupt, that's on them, and that's for them and St. Pete to have that conversation when they get there, but not for me to judge. And it's for me to keep rolling and making a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And, you know, that is the thing, is at the end of the day, our walk and journey with the Lord is ours. It's nobody else's to take or to have or to sit there and judge and criticize. It, at the end of the day, we're the one that has to account for all of our doings, good, bad, and different in between.
That's right.
But, you know, it's, and I think too, that's another thing that, mind your own business.
That's what I'm talking about. Did you bring your notepad? Mind your own business.
Business is, I don't get that, you know, that forceful in my motivational talks, but in essence, it is, you know, when you're following your dream and your passion, guess what? You've got to stay in your own lane, because there's going to be distractions all over here. And if you're following that, you'll never get where you're going. And so, you know, it's like when people are asking me about stuff or, you know, criticizing me on stuff, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, you'll never go further than where you are, because you're too busy worried about what everybody else is doing. Versus your own, or minding your own knitting, as my grandmother would say.
Love it. Hey, so before we get out here, Mike, hey, do me a favor. Let's show Jessica where she's at, where Jessie's at on Miss Rodeo, and let's go back and scroll through that real quick so everybody can see. Hey, Jess, do me a big favor. If you're on Facebook, give out what your Facebook is, and then give out what your Instagram handles, because since everybody's on Instagram, and I haven't seen you on TikTok yet.
Funny story about TikTok. I had it and then got rid of it after when I did some on-air position work and did some research into it. So I'll get back on it eventually, but my year as Miss Rodeo USA, I can't be on personal social media. So my PR firm is taking over everything, but they do tell me all the messages that I receive. So trust me, if you send our pages messages, I'm seeing or hearing them at least. But for this year, you are talking with our PR firm. So Facebook is going to be at Jessie Lynn .official page. Instagram is going to be at Jessie Lynn _official, and Twitter is going to be at Jessie Lynn JL. We also are on YouTube under Jessie Lynn official, Spotify, iTunes, and the podcast. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram and Facebook at Be a Dreamcatcher Podcast, and it's on Spotify and iTunes as well. And of course, our website, which you're seeing right now on the screen, jessielynn.net. You can find us everywhere. There's links. You can get to our store. We've got swag for everybody. Drinks, cups, hoodies, beanies, hats.
I love it.
On updating some things as well. So, and we've got possibly some new music coming down the pipeline. So
yeah, so let's talk about that, because now I want to get out here and let you off the hook, because you know Miss Rodeo. So let's talk about your music career real quick before we got here. Hey, Mike, show the diva dirt diva.
I love it.
The one where she's by, if you can pull up the one by the trailer and then talk to the guys, I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, how did you come up with honestly, I love the fact that you were able to pull the dirt diva out. So how did you come up with that concept?
So a funny idea that actually was a mom idea that was in the truck. Said in the truck one day, I had left a barrel race, was changing in the back of the truck into a formal runway gown because I did runway modeling at the time. And so here I am leaving the barrel race with 3 horses on board, changing, doing my hair. And my mom said, you can go from dirt to diva in 2.9. So there's fog in there. And eventually the Dirt to Diva concept has actually grown so much. It's actually the name of my 2 companies, Dirt to Diva Productions and Dirt to Diva Publishing. So it is in essence a Jessie Lynn brand. It is a registered trademark as well as Jessie Lynn. And we've just kind of taken it and ran with it. And it's been one of those concepts that has been great because it suits cowgirls and the rodeo queen world, because we go from the dirt to diva. We go from working the rodeos. We could be pushing cows. We could be helping the stock contractor. But then we've got to go out, carry the American flag. We've got to go out later and look pretty for the crowd, sign autographs, take photos. So, I mean, in an instant, we don't have time to go to the hotel and change.
Check out that swag, people. Check out the swag.
Right. Yes, got the swag. There it is. And so you've got to go from dirt to diva literally in that 2.9 seconds. So it's been a whole lot more versatile than I ever thought that it would be. And I'm just blessed, you know, owning 3 corporations and it being all a part of the music rodeo business. Thank you.
Hey. You're an inspiration for so many young women and so many young people out there on everything you're doing. You know, you're getting music out of. So what do we? All right. So let me ask you. I heard you. I was listening to your music. You know, you do some of the old Dolly Parton, and you go to that old. And I was picking on you earlier about Branson, but yeah, you do the little Branson swag. But so where are you at now, watching country music evolve? Since Billy Ray Cyrus kind of changed the genre, you know, it's evolved with gospel, hip hop, everything else. Yep. So where do you see yourself a year from now, 2 years from now, if you get back to singing? Do you see yourself kind of evolving as an artist just because the country music has kind of evolved over the last 3 years?
Well, it's funny, you know, as an artist, we constantly have to evolve and change, because here's what a lot of people don't understand about the business. It changes daily. It's not a matter of, you know, the turnover, because I'll be honest, Nashville's actually very slow in the turnover as far as, you know, it takes a while for that shift to actually take place, when in reality, it's really been going on now. What you hear today was being done 5 or 10 years ago, but it's just now kind of starting to come out in the open on the actual label side of things.
Do you think because social media kind of changed that, or individual artists?
A lot of that, and being an independent myself, I'm in a fortunate position of where, yes, I can record commercial music, but if you listen to our latest EP, Set It On Fire, it's very radio catchy, but you're going to hear a lot of things that maybe you heard in the 90s or the 80s. A lot of the signature licks, and that's because Garth Brooks, studio guitarist, is the one playing on that album.
Awesome.
You know, it's still keeping what I like is I am that traditionalist at heart, but in order to be relevant, we do have to have that radio friendly ear. So a lot of that comes down to the writing ability, the credibility there. The players who you bring in on a session makes a difference as to what sound you're going to get out. And then also basically how we're branding. You know, how do you brand your music to match who you are as an artist? And so I definitely think, you know, I will continue to change because the industry will continue to change, but I'll never lose the grassroots of, I love gospel. That's what I grew up in. I love bluegrass, and I love good old classic rock. Like, I'm a Fleetwood junkie all day.
Fleetwood Mac.
I love Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, Hart, Linda Ronstadt, Melissa Etheridge. I mean, we'll throw all of the rock and roll girls out there. But then, you know, I love Dolly Parton, Winona Judd, Reba McEntire, you know, Martina McBride, Jody Messina. So, I mean, there's so many influences that you can be your own artist. You don't have to try to be the next Carrie Underwood or the next Dolly. It's just a matter of staying true to your brand and staying true to yourself. And that's what I hope to continue to do in my music career. I know this year, prior to winning Miss Rodeo USA, we had 2 studio albums ready to go in. I had one that was going to be our Sound of the Shoals project, which we will start next year. So we'll be cutting a record out of Muscle Shoals, but then also we'll have a new Nashville album going in as well. So there's a lot to do in the next year. But also we are going to actually be surprise dropping a single at some point. I'm not sure yet when the PR firm has decided on this, but we have gotten the go ahead to drop a surprise single at some point during this year, and it'll be going all over to Play MPE, all of our major radio stations, FM, and it'll also be going to the charts.
Awesome. Hey, so yeah, I know we're about to close out here, but hey, Jess, I want to thank you for coming on. You're awesome. Hey, I need to know, I'm going to keep retweeting your stuff on Twitter since you can't do it because you got a PR firm. Hey, you have arrived.
Don't think I don't get on and scroll at least just to look, because usually, so prior to winning Miss Rodeo USA, it was me. I handled all Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of the content generation that was going on. So it kind of killed me a little bit because I'm like, I don't get to see my peeps. I'm like,
at least you remember the fans. No, at least you remember the fans. But no, as me and Mike say, Mike G, you got anything before we roll out, brother?
Very interesting. You have your hands in a lot of pots and pans and doing your thing. Very positive person. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And before we get out here, we're always going to tell you this, but here, I want you to say this to you. I need you to stay blessed. I need you to stay rocking, and I need you to keep influencing other people out there and keep making a difference in the world. Hold up, because, hey, we got somebody else pop in. All right. Hey, John West, we appreciate you, man. Dropping in a little content to say hey.
Yeah. John's been a great fan of ours for many, many years, and he's actually in the Florida area as well. So he's actually down near y'all's area. So you got the local crowd rolling today.
Don't worry, we're going to retweet this, and you'll have a copy of it coming to you. But Jess, you stay true to yourself, and you keep rocking. And as me and Mike G always say before we jump out of our show, keep it rolling.